Hello, today I'm here with Matthew Maxwell. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, Priscilla. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our discussion and just connecting.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Yeah, for sure. So right now, I do two main things. I work at Sound Exchange and their corporate development team. So we build rights management and like metadata solutions, largely for music publishers, music tech companies. So like companies helping with sync, companies that are trying to help publishers manage their copyrights and their underlying metadata. But then my love project is Family First Records or Family First Music Group. It's an independent label that I'm working on out here in the DMV. I'm from Maryland specifically, and it's an independent label built to create sustainable careers for artists and to help them monetize on their catalog. So those are my two main projects as it relates to music, at least.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So, what initially drew you to Berkeley?
Yeah. So I had a couple friends that went to Berkeley. So I went to Berkeley's master's program in Valencia. It was a master's in music production, technology, and innovation. And I knew one friend, ironically, from college that had done the business program, which is GEMB, Global Entertainment and Music Business. And then I had a friend from high school, ironically, that I hadn't talked to in like it had been a long time. And we connected kind of off random because he knew my buddy from college that was at the program as well. And at that point in my life, I was looking to kind of accelerate my growth as a music producer specifically, and as a technologist. And up until that point, I had never been in a music oriented program before. I had been in an economics program for undergrad. I had worked in finance and consulting, but I reached a point where I wanted to invest in my creativity and be in a space that made sense for it. And so, when my two homies kind of were talking about the program and how much they grew and how much they learned through it, I was like, yo, I mean, I should at least apply and kind of see what happens. At that point in time, I didn't have a huge production catalog. I'm a vocalist and a trumpet player before that. So I tried to make like a production couple of tracks based on like a hybrid combo of my vocals and trumpet playing. So yeah, it worked out and ended up going for the master's degree, which is really dope.
Cool, that's cool. So, speaking of Berkeley, how would you describe your experience? And were there any notable moments or teachers in your time there?
Yeah, so I'll start with the latter question on teachers. There's this electronic music production teacher. His name is Ben Cantle or Benjamin Cantle.
Mm.
I'm not sure if he's still teaching with Berkeley Valencia at the time, but that class just like it's why I use Ableton. It changed like where I saw my skills as a producer. Made me so much better at vocal manipulation, and kind of just helped me to identify the type of sound that I was into during that year. And he was just a dope teacher. I mean, super fun, gave me great music racks, very accessible for office hours, and just was one of the best teachers I've had, like even outside of Berkeley, including undergrad, high school, middle school, the whole thing. In terms of notable experiences, it was such a whirlwind year. There's a few. Getting to perform, getting to DJ at clubs in Spain. We put on a music conference for this group called Unsung Heroes. It was a conference kind of talking about race and equity within the music space, put on by myself and my co-founder of the group, Alexandria Edwards, who was in the business group at that point in time. That was really dope. Doing like crazy sound design projects was super fun. And then just being in Spain, to be honest, I'd never been in Europe for that extended amount of time. I'd never been to Spain, so it was really dope to, experience something different culturally too.
That's great, that's great. I'm glad that going to Valencia opened up new horizons for you because from what I hear, you seem to be doing amazing things, and I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. That's kind.
So, how did you go about finding your community at Valencia?
hmm Um, that's a good question. Usually when I get to new spaces, I'm like, I try to just feel space out. Like, okay, let's see, what personalities we have and um, who's doing what, who's interested in what, who do I naturally kind of connect to without saying too much? Who are people that, maybe we come from two different walks. So initially, I was very like feel things out. But one of the things I learned from my friends that went to the program was that because it's a year, you kind of need to know what you're trying to do when you're there pretty in advance, I'd say. So I knew going in that my focus was improving as a producer and general technologist, but there's a lot of room to just create infrastructure that you want to see. So we built community through Unsung Heroes Club, where we talk about race and equity in music. We had a faith-based group. So I'm Christian by background, and we created like a little worship Bible study kind of weekly thing. Me and a friend named Megan Smith, she was in my program. We put a coding club together. So yeah, like you kind of had a lot of room to create infrastructure that you want and do things, and then people tend to come, and engage with that. But apart from that, it was just casual conversations and seeing, who you really connect with, hearing whose music you connect with. Sometimes is also a lead-in to say like, oh, we got similar music tastes, or like we have different tastes, but I really like your taste and like your work. And also where I lived at the Collegiate like Marina Real, I believe was the name, and there were a few Berkeley folk that were in the building too, so I got to connect with them, and that helped me to meet people from programs outside of my own. And I tend to be fairly social, so it's always not too hard to take a random conversation with someone that you don't know particularly well yet. So yeah,
I agree with you on the fact that it's important to build an infrastructure and just let the people who are going to gravitate to it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
No need to
almost like
force.
it's almost like
Yeah.
the jam sessions that we have in school. You create a space where
Hmm.
people can come and show
Hmm.
off their talents, and those who want to come, they just come. It's as simple as
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. So if you build it, they will come. Like analogy in full force. I forget what movie they said that in, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you think that Berkeley prepared you for the real world, and how so?
That's a good question. So I actually was with Berkeley for 2 years, even though my program was one. I did a year after I graduated as the fellow. So I was in Valencia from 18 to 19, like 2018 to 2019, and then Boston from 19 to 20 until like COVID and everything. Um, I think for the work I'm doing now with Sound Exchange, that skill was before I got to Berkeley in a way, because it's still more finance and consulting oriented, very like PowerPoint, Excel, tech oriented too. I think where Berkeley helped me a lot is it significantly accelerated my growth as a producer. Like I was not a producer coming into it, like not even close. I performed, done different gigs, but really didn't have the language to communicate in the studio, be it, on like a DAW in the box or, being on an SSL console or something like that. So it significantly took my fluency and being able to connect with mixing engineers, mastering engineers, producers, different types of producers in a better way. And I think it helped me understand my own creative process. So, in terms of my creativity and my projects and even the label side of things that I'm working on, it helped a lot to show me how to put my skills together. Because prior to going to Berkeley, I had a pretty intense business and econ background, but I was looking to marry that with extensive creativity. And so Berkeley gave me the space where my graduate project is actually the label that I'm working on right now, with my brother and some, friends and family. So it did provide that infrastructure to marry my skills and stuff. And it definitely helped me with my creative tip. I'd say some of the strategy around career stuff I had before going, but it was helpful to get in my creative bag and just to see how much is possible through collaboration and learning other people's skill sets and seeing where you add value, areas where you might be good to like sit under someone else and just learn what they're doing. So um, yeah, I hope that answers your question. I feel like I
Yeah.
went different routes with that answer, but yeah, it was really impactful, especially for me as the creative. Yeah.
Mhm. So, expanding on that label that you're currently working on, what
Mhm.
are some other things that we can expect from you?
I just wrapped up my first EP actually.
Oh,
So the masters just got finished. Working with a friend of mine from Berkeley, Valencia, actually for the masters, and a mutual, just a random connect as a mixing engineer that I met in New York before going to Spain. Actually, I went and did some shadowing in a studio up there, and connected with an engineer out here. So my first single will be coming out end of August, around August 26th, and I'm really excited for it. It's my first artistic release, and on it, I'm producing, I'm writing, arranging, performing, the whole thing, getting to show different sides of my bag a little bit as a vocalist and as a rapper. So it should
Ooh.
be pretty dope. We have a couple visuals to go along with the rollouts that are being worked on right now. We recently got into this program called the American Association for Independent Musicians, A2IM, in
Mhm.
this Black Independent Music Accelerator program, where they selected 13 fellows to be a part of it for the year. And A2IM is like a trade group that helps indies, whether you're, an indie distributor, an indie label, whether you're like mass appeal, empire status, or whether you're like a newly registered, label with their system. So hopefully some articles and pieces coming out regarding that. So yeah, there's a lot of little projects. Working with an augmented reality company out in Pittsburgh, doing some music supervision for them. Um, so I'm moving more in the freelance circuits of things as we work on this label, and we'll have other singles coming out for the rest of the year. Doing some fundraising right now, actually. So we're really there's a lot kind of going on, but definitely some good music coming later. Um, and hopefully, I'm able to get it to all the people that have kind of helped me get to this point, and then those that want to engage with me beyond this point and engage with our label collectively. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to hear what you have in store. So I'll be on the lookout on August 26th.
For sure, we'll exchange contacts. I'll put you on the list. Like, make sure you get that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And for our final question, do you have any advice for current or prospective students?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say I got a few little tidbits I think that were helpful. Um, One, just school is a unique experience where you can try things out that you haven't done before. And so I think sometimes, at least I came into school thinking like, gotta make sure, I'm refined and I'm doing this particular thing. And it's like, it's such a good space for experimentation to see what you really like, what you don't really like, what kind of exists in between. So I'd say like, I encourage just trying things out. That it's okay for something to not go super well. Like, you know, I mix sometimes, but like that's not where I get the most life and energy. But like there are other individuals that love that. But I've mixed on a few projects, even with that being the case. So I'd say try different things out. I'd say spend time just asking yourself questions of why are you here? Why are you a part of this institution? Like what are the things that God's put in you that you're called to like build on and water, like what seeds are in you that maybe you see, maybe ones people don't see, and making sure that in your experience you're getting what you want out of it. I think with any institution of higher learning or a job, sometimes you get there and like there's an expectation of what you'll do, and it's like, wait, like I came in here to like do this. Like let me do what I'm trying to do, and balancing that with what I said at first, like being open to new things is tough, but I think that time of introspection, of just asking yourself questions, thinking about purpose and thinking about how you want to give to the world is something that I thought about a lot in school. um, and I'd also say like you don't have to figure everything out in school either. I mean, there's so much experience after school, be it undergrad, be it grad school, PhDs, where you learn in the doing and the experience of it. I ended up at a music program because I didn't like a job in finance. Like that's not necessarily super common, but that was my journey. So for anyone that has concerns of whether their journey makes sense or their story has this linear format, just like I just encourage you to trust in God that the pieces of your story will come together, and they'll come together probably in snippets. But then eventually, after all these interludes and individual tracks where you've been walking, you have this beautiful album at the end of it. And you can like look back on it and be like, dang, like I didn't realize this is what my album was going to look like, but okay, this is really cool. Album being a metaphor for your own creative journey.
That's
Yeah.
a great analogy. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm glad.
And with that, I'd like to thank you again for joining us on Alumni Talk, and I
Yeah.
hope you have a great day.
Absolutely. Same to you. Thank you for having me. Please send any music you're working on and things you're doing. Like, Love to see it. Love to support however I can.
Thank you.